to Knit. My name is Rachel.
And I'm Jessica.
And on this channel, we like to talk about all the things that we've been up to knitting-wise and just crafting-wise. So we'll talk about some things that we finished recently, things we're working on. You've got some sewing things.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
And it's been a while.
It has. It's been probably 5 or 6 weeks since we've last podcasted, so definitely have a lot to catch everyone up on. Life has just been really busy lately. Like for me personally, work has been really busy. It kind of goes through seasons, and we're just in a really busy season right now at my job, so that's been taking up a lot of my time. And then I got sick last weekend, so didn't really get to do a whole lot there and just kind of was in recovery mode. And then I'm also getting my MBA at the moment, and the class that I'm in right now has just been so rough. It's been way tougher than any of the other classes that I've had in the program so far, so that's been taking up a lot of my mental energy. I've had to put a lot more effort into this class in regards to like studying and keeping up with things, so I'm really excited for it to be over in 2 weeks, but I'm kind of just like in a mode right now where I've been like having to just like power through some things, and as much as I want to focus my time and energy on knitting, this particular like past couple of weeks has not necessarily lended itself to that as much as I wanted it to. So a lot of my projects that I have this time around are pretty simple stockinette projects, nothing too fancy, a lot of PetiteKnit patterns. Right now my brain kind of just needs simple things that I know are going to turn out well, and a lot of those patterns lend themselves really well to that. So that's kind of the majority of my stuff this time around, but I don't know if you're in a similar boat.
No, actually, I don't even have the excuse of life is busy, but I have a lot of kind of, I think just as we're moving into spring, just kind of some simple things, you know, not as many cable color work, fancy stuff, but that's okay. That's the season we're in.
Yeah, so I feel like summer lends itself well to that sort of thing. Like you kind of need lighter garments anyways, and as much as I love winter garments and I'm really sad to be transitioning out of that season, it's fun to look forward to the next season too. So
speaking of,
do you want to talk about what you're wearing?
So I said speaking of because
that's kind of your first summer garment.
Yeah, it's like my first. So I started this actually back in like September or something of last year, and it was just late enough into the season that I could feel fall on the horizon, and I put it down and never picked it up again until very recently. So, well, actually not even that recently, because I think I finished this pretty soon after our last podcast, which was like more than a month ago. But at any rate, I am wearing the Margot top by Gregoria Fibers, and I knit it in, oh my gosh, I hope I'm saying it right. I have the tag, I'll go get it in a second. Okay, I have said this on the podcast before, and I am still not confident. Illimani, Sabri 2. I'll hold the tag up so you can see. And it is 85% organic cotton, 15% baby alpaca. It is, I believe, a DK weight, and I got it at Apricot Fibers when we were in San Diego last summer. So it was kind of special to have a knit like yarn from a place that we got to visit.
Yeah. I made that top last year, and it was probably my most worn summer top. I really liked it. In fact, I kind of want to make another one this summer.
Yeah.
But the only thing is I made mine in white.
Like a white, not like a cream
like
white.
A really
like
white.
This.
Yeah. But like that lended itself to so many like pants and shorts that I already own and everything. Like it already went with everything, and so I'm like, I don't know what color I could make it in.
I'm honestly thinking about it too, because I love the straight across, and I think
it is work appropriate too.
Yes.
Like I feel like I could wear it. I work from home most of the time. I go into the office like maybe one day a week. So I don't know if I would wear it into the office, but like I felt covered up on camera and everything if I was like at home working from.
Well, I think it'd be cute under a cardigan too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
No, but not the only two. I shouldn't say that. But right now, the two summer garments that I'm excited to have in my wardrobe right now are this one and the Audrey top I made last summer by PetiteKnit, and both of those are very high collared. So I'm thinking that if I do summer garments, and I'm not planning on doing near as many as last year, that I'm gonna try to keep that in mind of like looking for things that are higher across as opposed to like a V-neck or something like that, because I really like a fit of both of those, and I'm like, what do they have in common? So yeah. And what are you wearing?
I'm wearing the Fortune sweater by PetiteKnit, and I use the Touch Me Mohair by We Are Knitters held double. I did make the sleeves a little bit longer. I think that was the only modification I had, is that I think her sleeves cut off like maybe a little bit.
Didn't she also have like a lace pattern in the original?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I was like, there's more modifications.
There's more modifications. Yeah, I omitted the lace pattern, and then I made the sleeves a little bit longer because I think hers come to like just below the elbow, and I made mine full length just because I wanted to. The sleeves don't have any like shaping or anything. It's literally just like knit a tube, so it's really easy to change the length if you want to for this particular sweater. But yeah, I'm happy with how it turned out. It's just a pretty plain raglan. There's like the raglan stitch right here, and it's got the folded over neckband. But I actually really liked working with this yarn. It's really soft, and I like that it's not like super dense. Like it doesn't feel like too heavy or hot compared to like other mohair sweaters. Like it's clearly a warm sweater because mohair is a warm fiber, but it's not like, I want to say it's warmer than the other ones per se, but it is more opaque, I think. Like I can't see through it the way that I could maybe see through some other like just mohair sweaters when they're held double. So I really like that about it. And yeah, I like the color. It's a little different than a lot of other sweaters that I own. So
I love it. It reminds me of like a vintage varsity sweater or something.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm super happy with how it turned out. Definitely just like gonna be a good go-to sweater, especially when I'm at home. Today's kind of one of those days where it's like not cool, not hot, so I'm a little nervous that it's probably one of my last days that I could wear this sweater, but hopefully we'll have some more similar days in like the 50s and 60s before it gets too hot.
I'm ready for summer. I'm like, no, let's bring it.
I know. For me personally, I like summer, but for my knitting, I like winter.
Okay, going to other finished objects. I finally finished the, what is this, the Melitta Socks? Am I saying that right?
I think the pattern lists it as Melitta Socken, but I've been calling it the Melitta Socks. Yeah.
Okay, that's helpful. They are a completely twisted rib all over until you get to the very toe pattern. I'll see if I can hold these up for the camera to see the texture. I knit these with, one second, I have the label, Sagen hand-dyed yarn in the base Ratatosk, which is their fingering weight. It is 100% Corriedale, and the color is Ulven, which is this like silvery, almost purpley gray, which I really liked. I haven't done a lot of just 100% Corriedale socks, so I'll be interested in seeing how these wear over time, but I haven't worn them a lot because I wanted to keep them nice for this. I will say that I'm never, ever, ever going to do another completely twisted rib sock pattern.
Okay, I say that every time I do a twisted rib pattern, and then something else comes along and I'm like, oh, it looks so pretty, I'll do it. So I wouldn't say that, but no. I feel you.
Well, I saw Making Cassie, I really enjoy her stuff. And she's doing all over twisted rib, but they have like a little ruffle at the top, and they look so cute. But I'm not over the trauma of knitting these.
Your brain has to have time to forget.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I cast on another pair of socks almost immediately after this, and I feel like I knit both of those socks in like a quarter of the time it took me to knit these. The other ones just felt like they flew by. Also because it's twisted rib and it cinches in so much, I feel like the toe looks so long on it.
Yeah.
But they look really, really cute on, so I know that that isn't the case when you wear it. But yeah, I like them. I didn't love the experience of them, but...
How did you like the fleecle heel, though?
Oh, I did like that part. That part was fine. I still prefer a heel flap and gusset.
Same.
But, I mean, it was easy. I feel like if you haven't knit a sock before, it might be a good place to start, actually, because there's only short rows on one side as opposed to, like, what would that be, where you do the heel turns on both sides for the heel. I don't know. I think I liked knitting that part. It was just the
When you say both sides, do you mean like like for the sock that I'm working on, you do.
Yes.
You kind of start from the outside and then work your way in, and then you do the opposite where you start inward and work your way out.
Yes.
For short rows. Yeah.
Exactly. So there's a lot to keep track of, a lot to like mentally remember. And these I felt like were pretty easy there. But yeah, it was just so much twisted ribbon. I don't know. But we're done with that. And you've got a pair of socks too, don't you?
I have 2 pairs of socks, so I'll start with the one that I think we kind of have in common.
Oh. Yeah, should I get mine too?
Sure. These don't really have a pattern. They're just broken rib socks, so I knit one row and then I would do knit one, purl one on the next row. And I made them, I want to say like 4 inches. I think
I made mine 5, I think.
Maybe I did 5. How long did you do?
Wait.
Maybe I did 5.
Yeah, I think yours are pretty similar to mine.
Okay.
No, they are shorter. Look at that. Look at that. Yeah, you probably did 4.
I did 4. Okay. Yeah, and I think the other difference too with ours is that I did like a little bit of purple here at the top. And that's just leftover Emma's yarn that I used from another project. So I had it in my stash and I thought it went well with the yarn because the rest of the yarn is Sprinkled Donut Socks by Coast to Coast, which was a release that she did, I think on New Year's, that you were supposed to like open your package that day as like a little New Year's present, but I think we opened ours on Christmas. So
I actually kind of forgot that it was the New Year's open until she posted about it, and I was like, oh, we're early.
I did 72 stitches on size 1 needles for the sock. Is that what you did too?
No, I did 64.
Okay, so I think mine might be like a little bit denser than yours.
Maybe.
I don't know if you can tell.
Oh yeah, they are.
If it's, I don't know how obvious it is, but
in real life it is.
Yeah. But no, I'm super happy with how they turned out. They're just cute little basic socks. So they'll be good to have.
I have really been in a sock knitting mood recently.
I just want to make all the socks. I think because they're easy to just pick up and do like a row or 2 at a time. And a lot of the socks that I've been working on have been like stockinette or like broken rib, where it's not too mentally taxing.
In fact, the other pair of socks you have, I'm just copying your socks. Like you started and I'm like, I'll cast that on too. Because I think we have another one that's very similar.
Did you finish yours or?
No.
Oh, okay. Of course not. Well, I finished these socks, so I'll talk about them too while we're discussing all of our sock knits. These, once again, don't have a pattern. I just use like a basic vanilla stock pattern, but this is a sport weight. I think it's Chibi Sport.
I have a label if you need me to look. We'll put it on the screen.
Put it on the screen, yeah. By Moondrake Fibers in the colorway Carrot. So I had 2 skeins of this. I'm using 1 skein for these pairs of these socks, and then I'm hoping to make a hat out of the other skein. But I'd never made a pair of sport weight socks before, and it took me a long time to figure out like the ratio of how many stitches and what needles I needed to use and everything. So I had to restart these like 5 or 6 times. I was so close to giving up hope on these socks because I was just struggling. Like every time I tried a new combo of needles and like stitches, it was either like looking too big or too small, and I was just like having a really hard time with it. But I eventually did land on using 56 stitches on size 2.5 US needles, and that seemed to work. They fit really well. And then after that I just did like plain stockinette and then a slip stitch, heel, and gusset. So I'll hold them up so you can hopefully see the color a little bit better. It's just like that really fun kind of blood red orange that's been really popular recently. So I think it's red. Like in my mind, I call these my red socks, but
yeah, it's red to me too.
There's like a little bit of orange in there.
It's more on the orangey side of a red.
Yeah,
but it's a red.
Yeah.
And
but I'm really happy with them. I think they're turned out really cute.
I know you did all the work for me because...
I know, I just texted you. I was like, this is what I did.
Yeah,
and we are both such tight knitters and have similar gauge like 99% of the time. If it works for one of us, it'll work for the other.
The only thing is, and this is, oh my gosh, there's cat hair all over you. Because I'm doing the same as Jessica, I'm just copying, except for I did 2x2 rib and I did a tubular cast on.
Oh, I did not do that. I just did 1x1 rib, and I did a long tail cast on.
Normally that's what I do for socks, but I don't know, there's something about this color. I wanted the 2x2. So this is one of my works in progress that actually is flying by. So.
Well, these went so fast.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I knit, I don't know, it might have only taken me like 4 or 5 days to knit up these socks.
If I was
really
only
fast.
working on these, I would have had them done already, but I've got other things on the needles. Speaking of, do you have any other finished objects?
I have one more finished object, so I will grab that. That is my cloud sweater.
Oh gosh, you've been so busy.
I know. This is the cloud sweater by PetiteKnit, and I used EcoSoft held together with Soft Silk Mohair, both by Isager, which is the recommended yarn for this particular pattern. It's pretty basic. There are some like details, like on the shoulder there's 2 rows of purl bumps, and same with like on the sleeves, right when you start the sleeves. So there's a little bit of detail there, but for the most part it's just, you know, your top down drop shoulder knit where you like start from the neck and then do some short rows and work your way down, and then like pick up for the front and knit the front, and then like pick up the collar later and join in the round to knit the body. You know, nothing too complicated about the construction, which was nice, but it does also have these fun like rolled details. So there's like a couple of rows of ribbing on the sleeves and at the hem down at the bottom, and then you work just a couple of rows of stockinette in order to get this like curled look. So I had to make sure when I was binding off, since you use just like a regular bind off, not like tubular or anything fancy like that, that I was doing it really loosely to allow for it to curl.
When I first saw the curl trend, I feel like this got popular all of a sudden. I really wasn't sure what I thought, but actually it's really grown on me.
Yeah, there's something kind of casual about it. Like this feels like a just lounge around the house type of sweater.
Yeah.
And there's something kind of nice about like some of my sweaters I worry about, you know, being really precious about not stretching out the collar or anything like that. And like this one, I'm not too stressed about it. If the collar stretches out, that's kind of what it's meant to look like anyway, which is nice. But I will say this one took me a lot longer to knit than it should have for just a stockinette sweater, and that's because it really hurt my hands to knit. I think I used US 8 needles. I think the pattern recommends US 7, and I had to go up since I am a tight knitter. But even still, you know when like the yarn is bigger than what the needle necessarily needs, and so then it's kind of like tighter.
Like dense.
Yeah, it's like really dense. And then also just the 2 yarns are both very fluffy yarns, and so it's easy to kind of catch your needle on it. It wasn't a smooth, pleasant knitting experience. It kind of took a little bit more hand strength than I was anticipating, and so my hands would get really sore working on this. So I could really only do a few rows at a time before I had to like put it down. It got better once I was just working knits in the round, but the purl rows especially for me were just really rough on my hands. So in theory, I feel like this sweater probably should have been done a while ago, but it actually took me most of like the past 5 weeks to do.
It is beautiful though.
So yeah, it is beautiful, and I do think it's kind of too warm to wear right now. I don't know that I'll like really get a lot of use out of it until next fall, but I do think it's one I'm going to reach for a lot next fall, because it's a really, really soft sweater. It's really beautiful. Like I said, I'm not worried about it like being too precious with it or anything like that. Yeah. So I think I'll really get a lot of use out of it and enjoy it. It was just one that I was like, I wasn't prepared for the knitting experience. And I kind of wonder too, I haven't swatched, so I don't know that I can say this with confidence. So like take this with a grain of salt, but I don't know that the mohair was really necessary. Actually, let me pull it up and like hold this. I don't know that you can even see the mohair in the sweater. And like when I look at it up close,
yeah,
I truly can't see it. I can see it on the purl side if I like turn it inside out a little bit.
Oh yeah, but barely,
But barely. It's so subtle. And the Eco Soft by Isager, I think they're changing the name actually to just Soft because they're going to launch some like dyed versions of the same yarn. It's so fluffy on its own. I don't know why the mohair was necessary. But like I said, I haven't swatched without it, so maybe if I'd swatched without it, I wouldn't have gotten gauge or wouldn't have liked the fabric as much. I kind of just like trusted the pattern and went for it. And part of it too was that I had worked with this yarn combination when I made the Levitate wrap by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and I loved the way that sweater felt. It was like such a teddy bear and it was so fluffy. But that yarn, that sweater, I'm pretty sure I used a US 10 needle, so I don't think I had the same...
Wasn't as dense.
It wasn't as dense, so I don't think it hurt my hands as much to knit. Like, I don't remember really having an issue with that when I made that sweater. Maybe I did and I just blocked it out, but I feel like it was worse with the cloud sweater.
I think it's beautiful, though.
So, yeah. No, still happy I made it. Just, some nuances to be aware of if you're also thinking of making the same sweater, but I do really like the way it turned out.
Is that your last finished object?
Yes.
I only had the socks and then this, so I guess we'll start on works in progress.
Yeah.
I kind of want to save the one that I'm working on for a second, so we'll talk about another PetiteKnit one, another simple stockinette one, but 'tis the season. So I started the Cumulus Blouse by PetiteKnit, which I feel like everyone is knitting right now. I know there's a knit along. I ended up not joining the knit along just because I don't have Discord and I didn't know what the code was, and but I know that there is one out there that's hosted by, I think, Marlene Knits and Jacqueline something. So I know a lot of people are knitting variations of the Cumulus patterns out there. I am knitting mine double-stranded in Suri alpaca from Moondrake Fibers in the color Ivory, which I got at our local yarn store Unwind's knitting retreat that they hosted in March. So I was very excited to start casting this on. It's also the same color that I knit my champagne cardigan out of, both of our champagne cardigans out of, I should say. But I just love this color. Like, I know that it's basically a cream beige,
but it's
color.
like a soft cream.
It's so perfect.
It's such a good color.
And like, I don't know, I think with like my hair getting lighter, I don't know, I just really like this color. So I knit the entire body, and I have not picked up for the neckline yet, but I went to go do the sleeves because this just absolutely flew. I love knitting on this, even though it's just like simple stockinette. I think because it's a bigger gauge, it's like 18 stitches for 4 inches, and it's so fluffy. I don't know, I was really enjoying it. And then I went to go pick up the sleeves and I could not find my US 8 DPNs. So, and I didn't really want to use magic loop or anything. I was like, you know what, I've been really good this month about not buying stuff, but I went ahead and just rebought them, and they're in the mail right now.
Even if you find the others, I feel like double pointed needles are the sort of thing, like,
I lose them all the time.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to have extras too, especially because like since they come in sets of 5, if you lose one, you're like, ugh.
Or if there's cables in the pattern.
Yeah, then you kind of need an extra one. Yeah.
I feel like I'm really good at holding on to my other needles, but the DPNs,
they love to disappear in like couches and stuff.
Yes, every time, because I'm like, oh, I have like all these sizes, and then I'll go and look and I can never find them. And so yeah, we're waiting for those to come in the mail to work on the sleeves, but I think once they come in, I'll just be able to zoom through this. So I guess I could go back and pick up stitches for the collar in the meantime. Yeah, get that done.
That would be good.
I will do that.
That's usually my least favorite part, just because like,
me too.
If you save the collar for last, then you feel like you're so close.
Yeah, you're like. So that's my first work in progress. I'm very excited to have this in my wardrobe.
Nice. I talked about how I'm in a sock knitting mood at the beginning of the video, and that's definitely true still. So I'm working on a pair of Frill Socks by PetiteKnit, and this is the second one. So I finished the first one, but he has not been blocked yet, so he's looking pretty lumpy and bumpy and has some like threads and stuff on him. but I think he'll be really cute when I block it out. I will say this is a short row heel, which I don't do too often, and I'm a little concerned by how square it's looking. Like, this is very 90 degrees.
It is.
So I'm hoping that the blocking helps. When I put it on my foot, it looks fine. Like, it doesn't look weird or anything, and it stretches the way that it feels like it's supposed to, so I'm not too stressed about it. Just kind of a funny observation that I was like,
it does look kind of pointy.
It looks kind of pointy. So, and the ruffle, I'm hoping I'll get it to like, I like the way it's kind of flipping up, but I kind of want to make sure that it doesn't like flip up too much when I'm wearing it. So I think blocking's gonna do some good for him. I'm making the largest size, so it's 64 stitches around, and I'm using US size 2 needles. And then the yarn is the classic sock base from Coast to Coast in the color Pigeon Milk, which I absolutely love. I kind of wish I'd ordered more in this color because it's just such a beautiful, like, cream color. I don't know. I think it's just really cute. It's simple and basic, but it also just feels like kind of special and antique-y somehow. I don't know.
I think it's close to, it doesn't read yellow, but it's
like kind yellow adjacent.
Yes, like it kind of hits that same warm color that I know a lot of people are knitting. I actually really love the like butter yellow trend that's going on right now.
Yeah.
I haven't invested in any yarn for it, but it like kind of hits similar notes without reading yellow.
Yeah. But as I'm looking at it, the other thing that's kind of funny about this heel, if you can see it, is this section right here in the heel, like at the corner where it meets the body, just looks a little, it doesn't look as like neat and clean as I would like it to, but hers in the picture looked that way too, so I think that's just the nature of the heel. I definitely could have done a heel flap and gusset on this one, but I think something about how plain and simple it was with like all the stockinette kind of lended itself more to a short row heel. So not mad about it. I'm not like gonna lose sleep over it. Just kind of an observation of like, it's maybe not as like tidy right here as I would have liked it to be, but if that's how the designers turned out, then what can you do?
Yeah.
So
you won't notice it when you're wearing them.
No, especially like, I didn't lose a needle. Okay. Especially if I wear it like in a tennis shoe or like a sandal that covers my heel part or something. So not too stressed about it.
I've got one more work in progress. So I've got 3 right now because I had the red socks and then my Cumulus. And here, let me get a little bit more secured on the needles. I signed up for a test knit, which is my first test knit of the year. I'm not planning on doing a ton this year. I feel like in the past I've kind of had to make decisions with test knitting that I wouldn't otherwise since there's a deadline. Like if I wanted to make something and I wasn't on a deadline, I could like take my time to find exactly the right yarn, and if I make a mistake, I could, you know what I mean? Like I just feel like the deadlines can be good, but they can also be stressful sometimes. But I really liked this design, and I had yarn that I knew was going to be perfect for it in stash. So I'm working on the Grace, is it pullover or sweater? I'm gonna have to look, I'll put it on screen. The Grace, I'll say sweater, I guess. Grace sweater by Dorothy of Adorable Knits. She has a really cute style. I really like a lot of her designs. And it's a really just simple raglan, but I liked that the gauge was 20 stitches because I had a whole bunch of this yarn in stash. This is Knitting for Olive Merino and Soft Silk Mohair in the color Nut Brown. And the reason I had so much in stash is because when I ordered this initially for a different project, I don't even remember what I ordered it for, I was thinking that it was like a little bit more of a, not like a solid caramel color, but like a little bit warmer toned, which is a theme for us in Knitting for Olive. I feel like every time we order Knitting for Olive, it comes in a little bit cooler than we expected it. And I'm not usually mad about it, but for some reason with this, I just really had to sit with it for a while. I would like accept it for what it was because it wasn't what I pictured it being. In fact, when I got this in the mail, I remember being like, this is the color of potatoes. And I put a picture of it next to potatoes and sent it to you. And that was a long time ago, and now I've sat with it and decided that I do think I like this color.
I like the color. I remember being like, I don't know what you're so upset about. I think it looks fine. But I do get that, like, if you have a specific vision in your mind for something and then it doesn't come in that way, even if it's not bad, if it's not what you thought it was going to be, sometimes it's hard to like let go of what you've latched onto. So I get where you were coming from, but I just remember being like, I don't know, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah, I was normally, even if it comes in a different color, I'm like, that's fine, it's cool. But for some reason with this, I was like, but we've had two friends that are great friends and knitters. So our friend Paige knit a brown sweater that I loved, and then that inspired another friend of ours, Liz, to make a brown sweater that I think is really adorable. And I think then having those pieces inspired me. I was like, okay, I'm going back to this color. I think that it is going to be really nice. It's not a very springy color, but I mean, it's something that I'll wear in the fall. And I think having the test knit, the deadline in this case, because I already knew I would get gauge with this yarn, the test knit deadline is like kind of forcing me to finish it up and forcing me to get this out of stash. And so I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, you've had that in your stash for a long time, so it'll be good to
I was like, okay,
have it used.
Oh, and I guess I should say this. I am holding it one merino and then two soft silk mohairs because I had double the mohair. So it's actually 3 strands being held together. So far the only thing, and I try not to change very much with test knits or any, but I did make one change to the pattern, which is that she has a purl row underneath here that I think is so pretty on hers and a lot of the other test knitters. She's using a very, very fuzzy yarn too. I'm not sure which she's using, but I feel like with hers, because it is even more fuzzy than 2 mohairs, it kind of like creates this like seam looking piece. But when I did it, the purl row like really stood out and I just wasn't sure about that. And I really actually spent a long time thinking about that because as a test knitter, you want to represent the design the way that the designer wanted. And so I was like, not sure if I should modify it at all or ask or anything. I ended up not asking. I hope she's okay with it. But I thought in the end, you know, it's a very, very minor part of the design.
It's not going to change the integrity of like the pattern.
Yeah, like it doesn't change the numbers, it doesn't change the yardage, it doesn't change hardly anything except for, you'll notice in hers there's like a little bit of a seam that I don't have, but it would have looked very different on mine. So overall I just went with like, what am I going to be happy with, because I'm the one that has to live with this garment.
It's your time and yarn at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You want to love it.
Yeah, so I have changed nothing else to the pattern and it is looking like it's gonna fit beautifully, so I'm very excited about that. But yeah, that's my test knit so far. First test knit of the year.
Nice. Well, I have 2 more whips. One, I'll start with this one. This is my,
I love this color,
Copenhagen Cardigan.
We are very brown and beige and green this episode.
Yes.
I love that.
With a little red.
Tiny bit of red, yeah.
But no, this is the Copenhagen Cardigan by PetiteKnit. It's really curly right now. It needs to be blocked really bad. So it's laying super funny, but I finished the yoke and the body and I'm on the first sleeve. And the button band, even though it's like curling in, is knit all with the cardigan, which is kind of nice. So I won't have to go back and pick that up later. Literally, I just have to have the sleeves. I'm using Fua Fua in the color Cappuccino by Moondrake. So I had 4 of these skeins. I think I'm going to use like 2.5 to be honest.
Oh, wow.
So I think I have enough left over that I can maybe pair the last skein with like a fingering or maybe a DK or something and make maybe like a vest or something for this fall. So I don't know, I need to think on that, but I think I'm gonna have quite a bit of leftover yarn, which is nice. I'm excited about that. I've ordered some buttons from Etsy to go with this particular sweater, but they haven't come in yet, so I was really hoping they would for today's episode, so I could kind of show you the two different options that I'm thinking. So when those come in, you know, I'll probably like post on Instagram or something, or maybe one will come in and be like, no, that's the obvious choice, and I'll just go with that.
I always hope for that. I'm like, please make it obvious.
Yeah, because then you're always second guessing, like, should I have gone with the other?
Yes.
So it's honestly just going to be a super simple plain stockinette sweater, but I think it'll be really cute. It's very lightweight, which is nice. This is a like brushed alpaca and super merino blend. So I'm really curious to see how it wears. I don't know that I have any other yarn that's like the same composition that I've knit with it before, so I'll be curious to see like how hot or how breathable it is. I think it's going to be pretty warm, to be honest. Like I think it's going to be a fall knit, even though it is lightweight. I think it's still going to be pretty warm.
I love that color so much.
I love the color. I'm kind of hoping that it's cute, just like buttoned, and even though it's a cardigan, I kind of want to wear it just like a top, but it'll have like the button details. So yes. When I finish it, we'll see if that's how I end up wearing it, or if it is cuter as just like a cardigan. But that's my vision for it at the moment.
Beautiful.
And then I have one other whip that's also beige. But this is which way is the front? This is the Augustins number 30 shawl.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
And I'm using Coast to Coast natural worsted base in the color Cuppa.
Okay, so the construction, how are you doing the lace as you go?
So you start in the middle for the triangle here with like just a couple of stitches, and then you do garter stitch growing out until you get your big like garter triangle, and then you'll leave all of the ends of the triangle on the stitches or on the needle, but then I cast on one end all of the stitches for the lace, and then you just knit the lace back and forth, but like pick up or knit the last stitch of the lace with the next stitch of the garter stitch, kind of like you would do like a double knit button band, but instead of double knitting, it's lace.
I get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I really like it. This has honestly been like a very meditative project, and because the lace isn't super thick or anything, it's easy to do like 2 rows at a time, you know, and then just like put it down. It's very intuitive. The first couple of rows, I was like, it's not charted, so you have to read the first couple of rows, and I was really struggling with that because I prefer to read things charted. I like to see how it's gonna look, and I feel like having that visual helps my brain kind of see where things are going a little bit better. So the first couple of rows, I was like, where is this going? And I didn't think I'd be able to memorize it, and I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna finish this shawl. But honestly, after like 2 or 3 repeats, it's so intuitive, and you don't need to look at the pattern at all.
It looks, see, that's the thing about lace, is it always looks so much fancier than it feels to knit.
Yeah. It's gonna look so much better when it's blocked too. I feel like it looks so lumpy right now, but I'm really excited to see how it blocks out. Yeah. And I'm hoping that like this section right here that kind of has a little bump, I'm hoping I can get that to block out like fairly straight, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Beautiful.
If there's any more experienced shawl knitters, let me know if it's not. I don't want to get my hopes up, but I'm a little nervous about like how I'm gonna wear it, because I'm not a shawl wearer. Like I just haven't ever worn any of my shawls, and really honestly I have 2 scarves that I've knit that I wear fairly often in the winter, but other than that, like I don't even knit scarves that often, because usually they're just so mindless. Like by the time you get to the end, you're like, I'm so done knitting this. But this one, I don't feel that way at all. Like I have loved working on it, and it's just been so fun to pick up and knit. So I hope I wear it and can like justify in my mind making more of them. If not, maybe I'll just keep making shawls because I like the process. It's been really fun to knit.
I think it's nice to have some process knits. Like,
yeah.
I do think that we try to be intentional about like knitting stuff that we're actually going to wear most of the time, but at the end of the day, like, this is such a beautiful craft, and there's so many things to do, and yeah, it's okay to have things that you just enjoy knitting on without real purpose yet.
Yeah.
You'll find the purpose.
And I feel like shawls are, like, a lot of them are just fun like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. No, so I'm really enjoying that one. But that is my last work in progress.
Okay.
Do you have any You have lots of acquisitions.
I do.
I don't have any.
Which is funny because I have actually... Okay, so I haven't really shared a lot. I guess we haven't shared a lot about, like, how much we spend on yarn or anything like that. But I do keep track of it, and I do have a budget in my mind that I try to stay around every month. And I've not bought anything in April. It's April 20th today, and we're going to try to maintain that through the entire month. I don't feel like I have an excessive stash. Like, I'm not buying, like, an unhealthy amount, but I do like to buy yarn.
I tend to have around like 3 months worth of projects at a time. And I have like some things in stash that are like, you know, if I have a skein left over from another project, I don't really count that in my mind because I'm like, oh, I bought that for a different purpose and now it's just kind of bonus yarn.
Yeah.
But like what I've purchased, I don't like to like purchase things more than 3 months out because I like to kind of have the space in my mind to take on more things without getting overwhelmed of like, oh my gosh, I need to like be making so much, you know.
See, I want to get there, but I think I'm just a slower knitter than you most of the year. June and July are where I catch up. So I'm excited because that's coming up. All of that is to say that I bought this earlier in the year and it came in recently. So very exciting stuff. It's exciting to have yarn without feeling like I've spent yarn. Girl math, crafter math. I did spend it, but yeah. I haven't spent it in April. So I'll kind of rapid fire one of these because you talked about your order and mine came in later. Oh my gosh.
I know, it's kind of a bummer they didn't come in on the same day, but that's okay.
Yeah. Some of these are repeats and some of them are not, which is my Coast to Coast Fantasy Coffee House order. Oh my gosh, and I think she just announced that she's going to do another pre-order for a new collection in May. I haven't even started knitting these yet. Anyway, rapid fire these colors. I bought Pigeon Milk, which is the color Jessica's using for her Frill Socks. That kind of creamy, just really nice beige. We have a lot of beige. I got Gillette. Am I saying that right?
I think it's Gillette.
Gillette.
It's like a type of pie. Well, it's not really a pie. It's like a open face, deconstructed type pie. It's like a rustic pie.
It's beautiful. It's like a
it's a dessert
color.
Yes.
We have...
I'm not a baker.
We have Cuppa, which is what Jessica's knitting her shawl out of, but we have the fingering weight version.
And yours is superwash, whereas the shawl I'm doing is natural.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the superwash, which I do like working with natural yarn for things other than socks. I'll usually use super yarn, but I think because it's superwash, I think your Cuppa is maybe like slightly more saturated.
I could see that.
Yeah.
This is Rubios. Hopefully.
It's plural, so I think it's Rubios.
It's kind of a toffee orange color. I really like the warmth in that. We have Midnight Crescent, which is the only one that is really more of a variegated as opposed to a tonal, but like kind of a darker brown. I felt like this really fit the coffee collection. When she announced coffee, I was like, ooh, the dark browns.
I didn't get any variegated. I only got... No, that's not true. I got Thimblet, but I didn't get that.
This one's kind of variegated. It's like in between a variegated and a tonal, which is, or at least in my opinion, what in the 8 Hells is coffee, which is the darkest color that I got from the collection. I think it was probably the darkest color in the collection, if I remember it right. And then I also got End With London Fog, which is like a really pretty lavendery, very subtle color. I have kind of some plans. Let me grab my other thing. I have some plans in mind for them, but pretty much all of them I think are going to be socks. And then I'm really, really excited to knit up each pair of socks because I think that the colors are going to work really well for like combining a lot of different combinations. Like once I've knit up a pair of socks in some of these, I think, can I carry all of them? I think they'll be easy to combine to like make stripy socks and like use a color for a heel contrast, and you know what I mean, like getting to use even the scraps from it, because I never go through a full skein when I make socks. I'm gonna have leftovers, and so what I'd like to do is like have a pair of socks that's like just this color, but then get to use the scraps in other colors and see how far I can get the collection to go. I don't know, I just think that would be really exciting because I think the colors do work really beautifully together. Here, let me put these aside. We bought a lot of sock yarn this year, which is good. I'm feeling the socks.
Sock mood, so I'm okay with that.
Yes. I also got the pressed flowers set from the Woolberry Fiber Co. I believe it was like her best of 2023 collection. And I didn't buy it in the original when she had it in 2023, but I don't know, I just kept thinking about it, and I really loved this is like, again, kind of a brownish toffee color, and then this one has like beige, more beige, but it's got these like really dramatic sprinkles of like vibrant colors, like magenta and teal, and I don't know, it was colorful, but also reads subtle. Like when you look at it, it's very subtle, neutral, you know, our comfort zone. But it does have these really bright colors in it, and I liked that. I think that it's a good, I might actually get this on the needles here soon, because I feel like that's a nice combination of like what I normally like, which is neutrals, but also what I'm kind of feeling, which is color for spring. Which, speaking of, the last acquisition I have is color. We Are Knitters reached out and offered, this is a huge bag, oh my gosh, offered to send some yarn. I think they just saw my Instagram profile. I don't even know if they watched the podcast or anything. But they offered to send some yarn, and I thought that was very kind of them. Who am I to say no to yarn? And so I got 7 skeins of, wait, let me make sure I'm saying this right. The Maripaka, which is a 80% superwash merino wool, 20% baby alpaca wool. It is incredibly soft. I, again, almost kind of wonder, similar to the yarn I used, my Eva cardigan, I almost wonder if it's going to pill
I think
easily.
that's going to pill. You might combine it with the mohair to like
prevent
it from pilling a little bit.
I was thinking I might be able to get gauge with what I'm thinking about making it into without a mohair, but yeah, it might be a good idea.
That's gonna pill. It's so pretty. Like the color's pretty. It's so soft.
The color.
I don't know. You might swatch it and see.
Yeah,
rub it against some things.
I could. I like mohair personally. I'm trying not to spend in April, and I wanted to cast on soon, but we'll see.
I mean, totally up to you. But yeah, you might take the gauge swatch and like rub it against your couch.
Yeah, I think that combining it might be good.
Don't dye your couch. Maybe, I don't know, like a towel or something. See how it does.
I'm planning on knitting, maybe, I guess we'll gauge swatch for sure, but I'm thinking about knitting the Cove sweater by the Knit Pearl Girl, and her sample is in a very bright color like this too, so I thought that would be fitting. I put this on my Instagram recently, but Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl wore a really bright red crew neck sweater. I think it was like a double red crew neck. Just really classic sweater, but in this really bright color. I just needed it in my life. I think
those red sweaters in general have been super popular.
Yes.
Like red in general has been very popular.
I've seen a lot of it. I'm inspired, and and then her album came out, and we need it in our life. So this will probably be my next cast on. I'm a little bit like, both of my current garment knits and my sock knit actually are all stockinette, and I'm a little bit itching for something else, but I just want the finished product of this. So I think this will be what I do next, but we will see.
Yep.
Yeah. So those are all my acquisitions. That was a lot.
No, that's okay. I don't have any at the moment, other than the buttons that I'm waiting to come in. So kind of trying to like go through some projects before I figure out what my next acquisitions are going to be.
Yes. But you have sewing projects
I do
to
have
talk
a couple,
about.
I think I have 3 sewing projects.
Oh my gosh.
To talk about. I'll start with the bubble frock, which is my first one. So I've made this pattern before. You've made this pattern.
Yes.
In fact, I made it in a black fabric and you've made it in a black fabric, which is kind of why I wanted to make it, because I love my gold version that I have, but I really liked your black version.
Which is funny because I just had fabric come in that is like the gold, the fabric that we're gonna switch. We're both making the same ones.
The problem that we have with some of these things is it's like, if it looks good on Rachel, I'm like, oh, I want to make it for me too, and then we'll both have one. So I think with sewing especially, we've run into that. I don't know why it's more prominent with sewing than it is with knitting right now, but that's just kind of where
I think it's knitting is slower, so you have to be a little bit more thoughtful. You definitely have to be with
maybe
sewing
a little
too.
more intentional.
Yeah, but then also with us being, I would say I would rate us much more experienced knitters than sewers, and so when I'm kind of intimidated by something, but then I see that you do it, I'm like, oh, I can do that.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, that's
It's
probably
like,
a lot of it too.
We're bouncing off of each other.
Yeah, and if like you've made a pattern that I know if I get stuck, I can like call you.
Yeah, it's like a confidence thing almost.
Yeah, I think so.
Anyway,
so long story short, I made another bubble frock by Lydia Naomi, but this time I used it's a fabric from Blackbird Fabrics. It's like a cotton viscose blend, so it was a lot lighter, had maybe like a little bit more stretch to it than when I made my first bubble frock. So I actually really enjoyed working with the fabric. It was just a little bit different, and it's a lot lighter than my first one, so I think it's actually going to be more summer appropriate. I think I'm going to get more use out of the black one just because I think it'll breathe a little bit better than the first one that I made. So that was good. I also, the first one that I made, I struggled with getting the like bust portion to lay flat, and I think I did a lot better with this one the second time around. But I will say I had a harder time lining up the zipper, and I don't know why it was so much harder for me on this zipper. It's kind of one of those things, like, since I had done a zipper before for this pattern, I was like, oh, it's going to be so easy, not stressed at all. And then when I ran into so many issues, I was kind of confused, like, where did I go wrong? But I think that's the thing with sewing, is like, you just kind of need the repetition, or at least I need the repetition to feel better about some of these things. So it was good to remake the same pattern and do some things better, maybe some things worse, but I still learned a lot. And I still think I'm going to get a lot of use out of the dress. I think it turned out really cute. And then the second piece that I made was a pair of bisque trousers, which you had also made.
I love my bisque trousers. They're my favorite thing I think I've ever sewn.
Okay, so I love my bisque trousers, and then I love the way that they look. The fabric that I chose was like a cotton canvas from Blackbird Fibers.
Or fabrics.
Fabrics, thank you. And I loved the color when it came in, and I still love the color. Like, it's a beautiful neutral brown color, and that's my comfort zone, and I was so excited about it. But then as I finished the pants, I kind of realized that they kind of look like Carhartt pants.
I would say embrace it. I'm here for it.
And so I kind of, in my mind, I was like, oh, these are going to be like, you know, some like nice trousers or whatever. No, like they look like I should be going to Tractor Supply a little bit.
I don't see it. I feel like when you style it right.
Yeah. I think when I wear,
I do see why you think they look Carhartt. Like the color is spot on Carhartt.
Spot on. So, yeah, I think it's just going to be one of those pairs of pants that I have to be a little more intentional about what I wear it with. I don't know that I want to wear it with, like, just any
like
random
a t-shirt,
yeah.
like a puffy jacket or something.
Yeah, like a denim jacket, then I feel like I'll really look like I'm like...
But if you use that fabric for a jumpsuit, it would absolutely be Carhartt.
It really would.
Like... 100%.
Which is, it's a popular brand right now. They're expensive, so maybe it's a good thing. I don't know. It just wasn't what I was going for.
Fair.
But I'd had that fabric in my closet for a really long time, so it was good to use it, and I really like how they turned out. And I've actually ordered fabric, or no, I already have it at home. I have fabric that I'm going to make another pair in white that's going to match yours exactly. I had to think about when I ordered it and what's come in the mail recently. I already have that.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, the third pattern that I've made sewing-wise is the Pansy Dress by Rosary Apparels. So I'll put a video up here too. Once again, the fabric's also from Blackbird. They had a sale recently, so
we both bought stuff.
Yeah, and I still have some fabric from them in my stash.
Recently, though, it was the end of March.
True.
It's not April.
True. Anyways, we'll put a picture up here. Basically, there's like this brand on Instagram that kept advertising to me. I think it's called Ray, where they had this one short striped blue dress that kept popping up, and I just thought it was so cute. But I also thought it was something that I could make something similar for. So I used the pansy pattern and a blue and white striped fabric to kind of try to recreate the essence of that particular dress. It's a little bit different because the Ray dress has some like gathers up here at the top, and it looks like rather than having like the skirt have a bunch of gathers but the bodice be straight like the pansy dress, it has like an elastic that runs all the way through that kind of bunches both the top and the bottom together. I don't know if that's making any sense, but long story short, my dress is not like an exact recreation of that one. It's just inspired by it. But the one thing I did change about the pansy dress pattern in my version that I made was making the little sleeve cuffs so that they sit flat. The pansy dress pattern just recommends to fold over the fabric when you sew it and then put elastic in to shape the armband. But I really liked in that particular picture, like inspiration photo that I was matching, that it had the little sleeve cuffs. So I tried to recreate that just by like kind of measuring my arm and then taking like a band of fabric with interfacing and folding it over and then gathering the end of the like sleeve piece and putting it into that armband. So it wasn't difficult or anything. It was just kind of a fun modification. I'm still pretty like nervous to make modifications to sewing patterns, but trying to slowly build my confidence in that area by making like little adjustments here and there like that. So I think it turned out pretty cute. I'm happy with it.
I love it. I'm gonna steal it. I think that this year our theme is gonna be like, you sew something, I'll sew it, and then also something and you sew it. Because I really, really want that in my wardrobe. Every time I see yours, I'm like, oh, that's so cute.
So yeah, I'm hoping to have some more sewing projects for next time. I think especially as like the weather's turning and it's maybe not appropriate to have like a whole bunch of wool sweaters. I'll probably try to sew more. I still want to knit, obviously. Like, knitting is still what I spend the majority of my time doing. But I feel like as we get into summer, I kind of want to focus more on, like, maybe bags, accessories. I'm not against, like, prepping for fall and still making some winter sweaters over the summer. So I'll probably focus more on just, like, what I want to knit and have in my wardrobe for later. And then for things that I want to wear right now, I feel like that might be mostly sewing.
I agree with that. I would really like to do some knitted bags. And
Same.
I do see myself doing a couple more summer tops like this, but last year I did
a
lot of summer garments and I don't wear a lot of them, so we're definitely re-shifting our focus as we move into warmer weather. Yeah, but I'm excited about it.
Yeah. But thank you for joining us this afternoon. Hopefully you made some progress on whatever it is that you're working on. So definitely appreciate you joining us. We'd love to hear what you're working on and kind of what your summer goals are, if you're in the similar boats to us, or if summer knitting is your jam. How?
And what's inspiring you, things that you're looking forward to for the season.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining us.